I love it. And she's still.
Discussion around it, right? So it's just information. But what really gets me excited is when I can actually have a conversation with you guys, right? And we can talk about certain things.
It's like the best video ever.
This is crazy.
We got 25 minutes. We gotta go. Hey. Right into it. Right into it. I love it. All right. Well, let's jump into it, folks.
All right, so I'm really
Let's get that
excited.
drum roll, Janelle.
Today's question is, what does leading from the front look like in your business? What does it look like to lead from the front? This is a great question. I'll let you start, Winston.
Okay. Well, I love the question, first off, because it's definitely a departure from some of the questions we usually have that come in. And for me, I guess in respect to our industry and what we do, I would say as somebody who's actively in the market space. I learned that term today. Who's in the market space and actively building the business. So, obviously with what we do in many companies, you are either marketing a service, a product, or some type of utility or function. So you're actively having conversations with people about that. It's great if I can't say luck into signing somebody up. Let's say you get somebody started in your business, and for them, they're now looking for what exactly do we do to grow this thing? How do I think one of the most awkward parts of what we have to do is, I don't, if energy was the thing I was marketing, in my mind right now, I'm struggling to think of how I would bring that up in a conversation with somebody who's a friend. You know what I mean? But I'm sure whatever company, or I hope whatever company that I was that marketed that gave me the tools necessary to have that conversation, right? So I'm out there, I have this skill, and I'm not just expecting people to come and see a sign that says Winston sells energy, right? It's me saying I have to find ways, use these skills to have conversations with people about energy, because I believe that I'm sure we can offer them a better price or whatever that is. So leading from the front to me is actively being out there and doing that. And then when it comes to having people in your team, creating a environment that allows them to learn that, and I think feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves. Because I can tell you that in 7 years now, the the thing that's kept me, because there's obviously been a lot of ups and downs and all that, but the thing that's kept me is this sense of I'm a part of a family of people that I want to be around, and they happen to all do the same thing. So when we go to our big events, I'm hyped to see people. Shout out to anybody going to boot camp this weekend. I'm excited to see people, and I stick around for that, and the fact that I get to make money doing it is just a very happy byproduct.
Yeah, I love that. Being able to essentially like cast a vision, right? Like, where are we going? Where are we going with all of this? What's the big goal? What's the purpose of us working so hard towards this, right? Because without that, like if you don't go back to that, you can't help anyone move forward, much less yourself, if you forget what that is too, right? So constantly showing people the vision. I think the other thing is too, it's okay, so it's a lot of vision, but I will come back and say it is also being in the trenches. People don't want a taskmaster. They want to see that there's somebody in the trenches with them doing the work, getting it done, getting dirty, getting their faces bloody. Like they're in this, they're staying up all night. They're doing, you definitely want to see that when you see somebody leading, and then for them to always be reminding you of the vision. So it's funny. So earlier, Winston and I were talking briefly about Richard Branson and Bezos going into space. And to be fair, I only knew about Richard Branson's dream to fly into space. I heard about Virgin Galactic for a while. So I was actually taken by surprise when I heard about Jeff Bezos. And I also learned that he also wanted to do this since he was in high school. Apparently his valedictorian speech in high school, he was like, yeah, I'm gonna go to space. Like, so like this was like a real thing for him. And like just this idea that like you want to get out, you you want to get out of what everybody sees as this is today, right? Steve Jobs did it. This idea of like, where else can we take this? Where else are we going? What else can we do? And creating that vision, and then like changing the culture for everyone else who follows. I think what's really fascinating is that, you know, there was a I guess dialogue, let's say, or a debate as to what does this mean? You got these rich people flying into space, you know, the average Joe who lives anywhere in the world, not even in America, the average Joe who lives in China. Like, how does this impact that person, right? Like, how does it make any difference to their lives? And somebody reminded everybody in that conversation that, well, it did kind of start off with rich people in many other areas where they pushed the envelope. Think about cars. When cars first came about, it was like, what do you mean? Like, everybody has horses. Like, that's how this works. That's what they call it, horsepower, because they were comparing it to the power of a horse. Like, that's what people did. And then here you have this person who's like, no, we can have a machine that automatically moves for you and like has all this power for you. And only the rich could do that, right? Like it was the people who had the means and had the vision and the foresight. And then this changed everything. Then all of a sudden, everybody, including the average Joe in China, right, drives a car. They have a car. They're driving everywhere. And then think about your business, right? Like how businesses were done. Like you had to go only to the people in your town or your neighborhood, right? Now you have a car. You could drive all over the country, right? And deliver your goods or your services. Now you can do that. Same thing with airplanes. There was a time you had to go on a ship, right, for months at a time to go to different parts of the world. The minute airplanes became a thing, this global market business, it exists because of airplanes. And I'm sure at the time it was like, well, only rich people can afford to go on planes. You used to have to get dressed up to go on planes, like really fancy, because it was like a thing, right? Like think when you go to a fancy restaurant and you have to like get dressed up to go to the fancy restaurant. It was like that. It was like a thing to get on a plane because like only rich people could afford it. And then right now it's just like how we live and breathe. It's like air, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm getting on a plane, I'm going to Orlando. You know what I mean? Like it's just like and if you're not going to Orlando, you're playing yourself, just saying. Anyway, but yeah.
Say that.
So yeah, so it's just this idea again of having a vision for something and like going for it. You know, people may call you crazy, they may call you stupid, and going for it. But the people who followed, they saw that. They saw them. They understood these people had vision. They had something that they wanted to work towards, and people followed them toward, and then changed everything. It changed everything. I think space travel will change everything. I really do. I think it's going to change how we do business. I'm waiting to things are going to get beamed very shortly. We're no longer going to be flying. We're just going to get beamed everywhere, like in Star Trek. Can you imagine your service or product gets like beamed somewhere, or you get beamed to your customers? That way you can provide whatever the service is, whatever it is. I just know that leading from the front is taking the shots in the back. Because people think you're crazy, people think you're stupid, but you've got this vision and you're gonna go for it. You're like, you know, I don't care if it takes me my whole life, but like, this is when I'm going, this is what I'm after. And I believe that that's what people are looking for. They're like following that person on fire, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna follow that guy, or I'm gonna follow that gal, because I like, she knows where she's going. She knows what she's doing. She has this vision, and like, guess what? Oh, you know, the other thing that's really amazing is when you are a part of the vision. Like the vision includes other people, right? So I'm sure, I have no doubt in my mind that Branson was like, yeah, I'm going to go into space. Granted, he's going to go first, but he's thinking this is because I'm going to allow all these other people around the world to go into space too. What would that do? How would that change a little kid's view of themselves and the world if they actually went into space and then saw the Earth, saw this little blue thing? Like, I think it would do a lot for minds. And I think that's amazing that like he has the vision to think not only about himself going to space, but like what this could do for others and how it'll change the lives of many people. And long after he's gone, I'm sure, like, again, mostly affluent people will be able to afford this in the beginning, and then they'll get it to a place where it's just like normal, and it's going to impact everything. But they're the ones. They're the ones who were taking the shots. They were the ones that were people were laughing at them. No, that's crazy. That's stupid. That won't work. Sound familiar?
I love that. And Jay, I think you touched on a lot of things. The part that really stands out to me in terms of saying, who had access to these things, because we grew up, our generation grew up watching things like, Back to the Future and, Star Trek and all these different things now. And I think when you reference like cars and things like that, what that allows when somebody has a breakthrough like that, that one invention affected every industry in some facet,
Yeah.
whether it was, and if you're thinking, oh no, even from how a kid got to their school because now they had
Yeah.
a vehicle to carry them there, you know what I mean, as opposed to a parent having to maybe always carry them. So every industry is going to get affected with something like when something like this, which has happened, it's not, or is happening, right, takes off. But the parts of it that really stand out to me is how it compares to me, about how our industry is and the people who still don't understand that what we do is one is happening already, and the fact that you aren't in it, that you aren't taking part financially in it, you're gonna miss out, right? Like,
Mm.
to the people who, your point, were, I'm pretty sure, hell bent on keeping horses and didn't want cars, they're poorer and their families are, because of that lack of vision within their own life, right? So what we do is share a product, service, again, or idea through your network, through natural conversation, through pitches, through videos, whatever you use. But the overall idea of network marketing, where people are being incentivized and paid directly for helping said company grow or move forward, is happening already. And there are
Mm.
people who don't get it, and their families are going to suffer because it's going to become a natural thing. Remember, where at some point it's going to become you meeting somebody and going, which company, which network marketing company do you work for or work with?
Mm. Mm-hmm.
Like, I get it, you're a lawyer, I get it, that's cool. What else are you doing? Because when you talk about what space travel is going to cost, there are many people who the reality of it is they're financially not where they need to be. So that whatever percent that's going to be able to afford that, there are people who are going to miss out because their industries are going to get wiped out.
True.
When you see something like this happen, you don't think there were a bunch of people who used to rear horses and that was what they did for a living until the car came out? And guess
Yeah.
what they ended up being? Out of a job.
Yeah.
Out of a job. Oh, no way. Am I getting cut out?
No, I
Okay.
can hear you. I can hear you.
Okay, cool. Okay, perfect. All right. Like, I see it as I'm out of it. And Janelle, if I get cut off, please, you can just jump in at any point.
Yeah.
They're out of a job. And so to me, it's the same thing. Like, this is going on. It's going to eradicate whoever, all the Uber trucks needed, or all the trucks that you use for delivery now, whether it's FedEx or whatever. That's just going to get wiped out. The minute they start beaming stuff away, the minute they start beaming people around, all you see is an Uber on the tube that you step in. There won't be any more Uber drivers. So that won't be your side business anymore. It won't be the thing that you're doing.
That's a really
So
good
for
point.
me, it's not only, yes, those things are happening. I think those things are happening all the time in different industries. But my thing is, how are people who are hearing about these things not saying to themselves, how can I get into this? You know, if there's a company that makes the tubes that he puts in the rocket to go up, I'm getting stocks in it. Or I'm marketing it. Like, I need in on that, right? I need in on that because we're sitting around watching other people not live life. They're creating life. They're creating stuff. And you can't just be a consumer. You know what I mean? There are people who just consume. They're gonna sit there hype over the tube, but you don't make no money from it.
Yeah.
It helping people have an easier life doesn't benefit you outside of you having to pay to use it. That's all you're going to do is pay to use stuff. And that's the side of things that we cannot continue living from. We can't continue living from a mindset where all we do is consume and we aren't taking part in producing something, putting something out that creates value. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's being the producer. I think it kind of goes back to something that we talked about maybe in an overtime, but like one of our mentors once said, like, this isn't for everybody. Because like
Facts.
you need somebody to like, serve you the food at the table.
Oh
So
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah, I can tell you that story. That's me.
well, I'm listening to what you're saying, and it's like, we're only talking to a few people out there. We're talking to the people out there who are ready to change the conversation from being a consumer to being a producer,
Yeah.
who see the value in that, who are ready to like change their family tree, who are ready to like do something for their own lives and for their future. This is who this is for. I mean, like, yeah, I mean, talk about, sorry, leading from the front. I'm just thinking like, if you're okay, if you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, nah, I'm good. Like, I just want to do the tube. Like, I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I don't want to like cash in on that. This isn't for you. Like, this conversation is not for you. That's cool that that's what you want to do, that you just want to see the tube that you're about to see for the beaming up process. And then like, that's it, right? Like, this is not for you. If you just want to consume, that's totally cool. We'll have fun with you. We'll beam with you to places. We'll have a lot of fun. But who we're really talking to right now, like this conversation, is for the people who are like, man, yeah, I'm like ready to do more. I'm ready to participate in the rescue of myself and my family.
Jay, can I say something real quick? And to your point, I don't mean that to say like if you heard the tube thing, and to Janelle's point, you're not interested. That's to me because often I find people look at things like, oh, I need to be passionate about something in order for me to take part in it. And that to me is short-sighted. Here's what I mean that. If
Yeah,
I knew
yeah,
what I knew about McDonald's now, I don't need to like burgers to invest in McDonald's. Like you don't need to actively be and I'm talking about investing now, so I'm talking about that side of it. That's a passive thing. You don't need to be. You're not in the boardroom making decisions about how they cook the burgers. You don't care. But if you knew what I know about how big McDonald's is now, if you've ever watched that movie, amazing movie, and you go back now, you want to step into one of those brothers, right? And they gave you one of those opportunities to start one of those franchises. Who wouldn't want to start that now, knowing what you know about how that company is? So if you're hearing, huh?
Go ahead.
No, if you're hearing us, we're saying this thing about taking part in the space, and you're like, oh, space is not really my deal. Who cares? It's gonna work. It's gonna work. It's already. That's my whole point. It's already happening. And if it's not space, like I said, there's a slew of cryptocurrency. I mean, we can go on and on about things that are going to get phased out. Like there used to be checks. Who writes checks anymore?
Yeah.
I was talking to somebody earlier who just got a card that allows for them to tap, and that person got frustrated that they had to put their card in because now all they want to do is tap. We're moving at a pace where people aren't looking to have to go and do these slow, mediocre things that use time consuming, because we're all realizing there's very little time. We operate now and taking information at such a rapid rate that you feel like you have not enough. All I hear people talk about all the time is, I don't have enough time in the day. I don't have enough time. When would I find time? People think they can't do what we do in our business because they don't have enough time. It's one of the biggest rebuttals you'll get back from showing a prospect our business. Oh, yeah. When would I find the time? Because they think in their life, I work from a 9 to 5. I have kids. I have a life. I want to date if I'm single. When would I have time to run a business?
Yeah. I want to piggyback up on that. One, you find the time for the things that you think are important in your life or a priority. Two, when are you going to change that? Like, if you feel like you don't have the time, when are you going to change that? Like, is that something you're proud of and that you're bragging about? Are you happy that you don't have the time to like change your family's like tree? But the other thing, I mean, another one, you use McDonald's, and why you're using McDonald's as an example of like, I don't have to be passionate. This is so key. Man, like I should have been like nugget when that came up, because the passion bit, right? Think about, I mean, yeah, if you knew what you knew today about, I was thinking not McDonald's, something even more like current social media. If you knew today, I mean, if you knew back then, right, what you knew today about Facebook, right? You don't have to be excited about connecting with your high school friend. You don't have to be excited about programming, right? Like you got a bunch of programmers in the back, like getting all excited about it. You don't have to be excited about that. But if you knew what it was happening, if you were like, well, I know this is the way of the future. I know this is how people are going to connect. I know this is how people, I mean, there are things that we do now with Facebook and Instagram and everything else that like, I don't even think Mark Zuckerberg could have predicted when he first started. But if you understood it, you would have jumped in. You don't need to be passionate about it, but you would have jumped in some way, somehow. What can I do to be a part of this wave that's about to like just take over, right? And so I think that's huge. Like if you see, let's talk about our profession. If you see a product or a service, and maybe you're like, I'm not really passionate about that. Electricity, only because you just said it, but I was thinking something else. I was thinking like legal documents,
skincare,
a body wrap,
bottled
whatever,
water,
right? Nails, whatever it is, right? Like jewelry, whatever it is, right? Like if you're just looking at it and you're just thinking, yeah, but I'm not passionate about that thing. Granted, for a small business like this, you will require some excitement and some passion because people want to see you excited. And that, I mean, it really is just like an exchange of energy that gets people to move. However, you don't have to be so passionate about it that you're like, this is why I'm getting started. It's really key. The passion should be not in necessarily the product or service itself, but maybe how it fits into the marketplace of the larger sector. Like if you're like, yeah, but like everybody uses electricity though, like this is a huge place in the market space, like I want a piece of that, and that's what I'm excited about because I understand how ubiquitous this is, that people use this particular thing. So that's why I want to be a part of it. So you don't necessarily have to be, I'm not excited about like the energy and like where the energy comes and is it clean energy? Is it like those things might be important, and one or two of those things might really get you excited. But sometimes the excitement is just based on how you see that this could impact an entire sector of people, like how it impacts humanity. Like if you understand that and you can get passionate about that, that'll drive you as well because you see that. And so I would say when you're looking at, whether you're looking at multiple network marketing companies and you're trying to figure out like, okay, which one is the right one for me? Yeah, definitely. If one like of the products or service you are more excited about, it will be a little easier to talk about it with people. Yes. But what you could also find is that maybe it's less about what it is and it's more about how it will impact humans all over. And that's what gets you excited. That's the part where you get really passionate. And I think that's a huge distinction that people talk about. Without even really knowing what they're saying. Oh, I'm not really passionate about that. It's like, yeah, but who cares? But do you see how it's impacting humans? I want to be a part of that. I want to be a part of that and move people towards that vision.
I love that. Well, and I know we're coming close to the end, so I love how what you just said is going to tie into what I want to finish off with. So I think where a lot of that may come across is one, Janelle's, what she shared is, I mean, like right on the money. I think if you have just some inclination that this thing may add some value and you're saying to yourself that you're uncertain, I think, and I'm talking to people who are in our industry, where you go now to get that level of certainty is whatever training your company is offering. Because what you are lacking is the vision. You need to, and this is just me, if you're doing this and you really want to have success, you have to know where you are going. Janelle said it from the beginning. And for many people, you're out there, you're in this by yourself. Maybe your upline is amazing. Maybe that you don't talk to them. Maybe somebody's enrolled you and then it's ordinarily it'd be the other way around, but now they don't call you. What I'm going to tell you is the beautiful thing about our industry is you're in business for yourself, not by yourself. And where there may be other people not in your market, they are going to be at the training. The people who are doing this in the way you want to do it, trust me when we tell you this, they are going to whatever national training your company offers. And now that COVID's places are open back up. So I'd encourage you guys, if we could leave you guys with anything today, that if you're trying to understand the thing you're marketing and you don't really get it, but you're in it already, or you're looking at certain things like Janelle said, what I'm going to say to you is this: find out when the next national training that you guys have. For people who are doing what we do, you guys already know it's Orlando all day, baby. Make sure you're there this weekend. You can still get tickets. Trust me, if you're at home, you signed up for this, and you're like, I don't know what I need to do next. You need to get to whatever your national training your company is offering, because that's where you're gonna get the vision. You know what I mean? Whoever Jeff Bezos and all these other people are hanging around with, those people have bought into something. That's the only way they're making that happen. They've bought into something. And for us, what we do, you need to go get a bigger vision than the one that you have for yourself, like Janelle said, because that's what you're going to transfer to people. You're going to have conversations, and it's not going to be about the electricity anymore. Trust me, it's going to be about, do you understand what we can do with this? Like, that's what's going to get somebody excited. Wait, with electricity? Dude, you know what I mean? Like, that's how it changes. And right now it's, so yeah, you want to save a couple dollars on your electricity bill? No, no, I'm good, right? But if you go get whatever vision that is for the electricity, because I'm sure there's something bigger. Hopefully there is. You know what I mean? And I'll just leave you with that. Best show ever. Best show ever. No, this was a good one, man. This is really good. I love
this. Was really good.
Yeah.
Well, that's our time, guys. Make sure that you subscribe, hit the notification bell, send this to all of your friends, business partners, colleagues who you think that this might provide value for. Go ahead over to our Patreon. We do a lot of overtimes on Patreon where we get to continue the conversation. Really excited to have everybody who's a community member over there join in on our community. And so with that, I am going to say our time is up. We've done really well. As always, remember, you deserve
the good life.
Say that.
Say that.
All right, everyone. See you next week.